I feel so bad about not sticking with my gut. All right, so
And
Vikings go in to Arizona because the game was moved to play the home game against to play the Rams home game. I was going to choose early on before the fires, the Rams to beat the Vikings. I talked about it, that was my pick, but I was like, okay, now it's a last minute travel for the Rams. They weren't expecting that. They're going to be down in the dumps because they have friends, family, or whatever it may be dealing with these fires. Some of them might themselves even have lost their homes because it was in some of the nicer area of LA. So, I haven't heard any stories about that. And the Vikings, I figured, okay, they could figure it out. They're a good team. They're 14-2 for a reason, or 15-2 for a reason, or 14-3, whatever they ended, 14 and
who, the
3.
Vikings?
Yeah,
Yes, they finished
14-3.
14-3.
And so that's where I swayed back to the Vikings, and I should have stayed with my gut to pick the Rams. And the Rams absolutely destroyed the Vikings, destroyed them. The Vikings didn't even look good playing this game. So
Uh,
it ends
they didn't
27-9.
they didn't look so good. 5 minutes into the game, I send you this message that you can confirm I sent you 5 minutes into the game. Vibes, feelings, emotions. 6 minutes into this game, the Rams are going to win this game against the Vikings by minimum 10 points.
Yeah, that's
And
fair.
then within an hour, I sent you where I replied to myself and said, "Remember when I sent this?" Because an hour into this game, it was a blowout. 5 minutes into this game, you could tell the Rams are here to play, and the Vikings are just happy to be here. Like that's literally the vibe of what it felt like.
Yeah, it did. It did.
And I mean, the Vikings started out the game almost immediately 2 3 and outs that felt like they were on the field for a minute, like
Yeah,
in both drives, like 30 seconds each.
and
And then,
and what's crazy is the Vikings turned the ball over twice, right? And the LA turned it over in 0, but the Rams still had 95 yards in penalties to the Vikings 20 yards in penalties. So, it was crazy, and this is the biggest stat for me was they put the pressure, they watched what the Lions did. You called it. Hats off to you. Is the Rams got 9 sacks. 9 sacks,
yeah.
which
And
is outstanding for 82 yards.
well, and also based on like next gen stats or whoever tracks this kind of thing, 5 of those 9 sacks were on Darnold. So, if you have a
He looked like a
sack
real
where
Caleb Williams out there.
yeah. But if you have one of those games where it's like, oh, the D line just immediately blows past the center and sacks the quarterback, that's on the offensive line. If the
He had so
quarterback,
much time to throw these balls.
if he holds onto the ball too long and either doesn't get rid of it or doesn't try to run or throw it away or whatever it is, then that sacks on the quarterback. 5 of the 9 sacks were on Darnold because he would just not get rid of the ball. He
And
was
so
holding onto it so long when he's being tackled by 3 Rams.
right,
It
so
was
I
insane.
don't know if I just didn't notice it all season, but how far Sam Darnold drops back.
Yeah. I think again, when we watch that Lions Vikings game, when people, when teams, when players show you who they are instead of telling you who they are, believe them. And what Darnold showed us in that Lions game was not only does he hold the ball for too long, but if his first read is covered, if his second read is covered, if he feels uncomfortable, he just cannot do anything. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if the Lions have a
So
bad
would you let me
defense.
ask you this, would you keep him going into next year?
I think you have to.
I do
I
too.
really
I
think
still
you
think, I
have
mean, you
to.
went 14-3. You can figure that out. You get some pieces on that line to help him out. That's his issue. Just don't let him give him more time. Let him figure it out. Um,
Or just run simpler concepts where he's just throwing two-step drop slants to both Jefferson and Addison
It
and hoping
works.
they
It works. One of
that's
the greatest of all time. That's what he lived on. It was his bread and butter.
yeah.
Anyway,
But again, I also think you kind of have to look at the coaching staff, especially, the
I that was
offensive
gonna be
play
my next
calling.
point, is I just think Sean McVay just outclassed, like, the whole coaching staff just outclassed the Vikings,
Yeah.
just outclassed them.
Because I think if you're O'Connell and the offensive coordinator for the Vikings, and you see your quarterback not only holding onto the ball too long, but getting absolutely annihilated over and over again by a nonstop. Again, when you load the box and you're sending 6 guys, you're sending 7 guys, you're sending 8 guys, you spread the defense out, you do screens, you do quick slants, you just do something to where you have mismatches on the outside now because all your D line and linebackers are blitzing your quarterback. And again, I learned this from Madden, but it doesn't take a genius to say, hey, when we have 6 people blocking and they're sending 8 people to try to tackle our quarterback, there's a number disadvantage here. So why are you not using that number disadvantage on swing routes, on dump off passes, on
You
screen
just saw Jefferson and
passes?
Addison just running all the way downfield every time.
Yeah. And it was just, again, much like my where you're looking at the Eagles Packers game where it's like, yeah, Hurts is holding onto the ball too long because the routes either aren't being developed, are dumb routes, or they're taking too long to get to where they're supposed to be going. You watch this Rams Vikings team or Rams Vikings game, much like you just said, why are Jefferson and Addison doing streaks all game? Your quarterback has 3 seconds to throw. Like, do a curl route, do a quick slant, like do a screen pass. I don't know why your entire game plan is let's let our quarterback stand in the pocket and wait for these 5-second routes to develop. It's just again, and we were screaming that after the Lions game. Like, they're sending all out blitzes. You should have guys on the outside open. Now, to the Lions' credit, they were doing one-on-one man coverage, and Jefferson and Addison weren't getting, open. That was not the case in this game. The case in this game was the offensive game plan was just obnoxious. It was, and
Yeah.
after the first half where you're down what by halftime they were down 24-3, no adjustments were made in the second in the second half of this game, which is astounding. I don't know what film they saw on the Rams or what film they knew the Rams saw from the Lions game that would make them think, oh, we don't have to change our game plan at all.
Yeah.
Like,
So 2 things that I learned from this game. One was because I'm kind of done talking about. One was that I'm never going to pick against the team that is dealing with a tragedy in their area because every single time that happens, teams just come out with a fight,
that's
and
true.
I'm
Yeah.
done. Yeah. So
Also,
next time there's a tragedy, a disaster, or whatever it may be, I'm picking that team to win every single time.
much through that same vein, Casino, if we've seen throughout this season, when we do our preseason picks for next season, when we do our postseason picks for the rest of these playoffs, I'm going with who's the better quarterback because you look at all these games like
Speaking
Herbert.
of picks, I won, by the way.
Oh yeah, that's coming up next. But yeah, Herbert
I
Stroud.
just wanted you to know.
Herbert Stroud, that was the one that was causing everyone to pick the Chargers because everybody loves Herbert so much. Outside of
Ah.
that, Lamar
I thought it was gonna be a
Jackson,
coaching thing myself.
yeah, but you just look at quarterbacks. Would you rather right now have Lamar Jackson or Russell Wilson? Jackson.
Lamar Jackson.
Would you rather have Bo Nix or would you rather have Josh Allen?
Josh Allen.
In the playoffs specifically, would you rather have Hurts or Jordan Love?
Hurts, and only hurts in every matter.
Thank you so much. And then for the Commanders, I mean, that was the wild card one because it's like Jaden Daniels has been really good, but he's a rookie, so we haven't seen how he has played in a playoff game, or Baker Mayfield having the best game of his or having the best season of his career. I still feel like I would pick Baker,
I would.
but if somebody picks Jaden Daniels, I can't argue against it.
Well,
Like,
that's why I was fine with the Washington moving on because it was my hot take that they're gonna be a good team.
yeah.
Um,
And then
okay,
last one, it would be this game we're talking about, Darnold or Stafford. I mean,
Stafford
just
all day.
based on playoffs alone, it's Stafford.
And
We've never
yeah.
seen Sam Darnold outside of this season look good. Like, it's
and I
Oh,
should have gone and I should have stuck with that because that was my it was Stafford and McVay is the reasons why I was gonna pick them, and I
I
should have
know.
stayed with that, but I didn't, and
We
I will
had
own
that
that.
we
And
had
then
that discussion, but
and
I
then
picked, the Vikings all season. I had to ride them.
and my daughter so second thing was my daughter, she originally picked the Vikings as well. She's like, "I want the purple team," when I turned it on, and then I was like, "Well, Michaela, the blue team has Puka Nacua," and she goes, Puka Nacua, blue team," and I'm like, there it is. So,
Yeah,
I
you shoulda
yeah,
listened to your
I
daughter.